Hi guys, and welcome back to Winsome Cottage. My name is Hannah. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. And as you can see, it is another glorious day up at the cottage. It is sunny, not too hot. There's a brilliant little breeze coming through. It is just like perfect gardening weather. So we've got a lot to do today. It's going to be a bit of a hodgepodge of projects. I'm going to be replacing some perennials. We had some lavender that did not winter over well, and I'm going to kind of explain what I think happened as well as get some new ones planted. I also am going to be putting some dahlias in the ground here because I had a couple extra tubers that I thought my mom and dad would enjoy, and I have some random annuals and perennials that I started from seeds that I'm going to find places to tuck, and the scope is pretty high here. We are in the, you're going to be seeing this a little bit later than it's being filmed. We're in the tail end of June here. And I will admit that our spring cleanup has not quite gone as planned. It's taken a little bit longer than it typically does. And what that means is some of the places we've already weeded are now being taken over again because we haven't mulched and they now need to be re-weeded. So during this video, you're going to see a lot of real life stuff, which is a lot of weeds. And I'll probably weed a bit where I am, but if you see it, it's something that we're working on and we'll get to eventually. You know how it can go sometimes. I am up here on this top tier right near our swings, and the perennials we are going to be replacing are actually these three lavender. We've had lavender here a number of years. I think these, the ones that we're replacing today, the dead ones, probably our second or third batch. Lavender is not a particularly long-lived plant. These, however, were probably only 3 years old. I think what happened is we may have let them get a little woody. As you can see from the base, lavender, as it gets older, develops like a really woody system. One of the things that I do at my house, which I think we're going to be doing here moving forward, is I actually cut them back in the spring usually or late fall fairly significantly so they don't develop that woody base. It is a risk, especially if you do it in the fall. Sometimes it does not come back, but I have found that I have better luck with that, not allowing them to establish that woody base, because that's what I think can get damaged and then kill the whole plant more than cutting it off. So we have some variegated lavender that we're going to be putting in that just smells amazing. We're definitely going to be trying to cut it back routinely and not let it develop that base. Let me show you the plants because they're just beautiful. And here they are. You can see that the leaves are just beautifully stripy. The buds are starting, as you can see here, and oh, it smells so good. These guys are actually a platinum blonde lavender. They're a zone 5 through 9 and will get 16 to 24 inches tall and about 16 to 18 inches wide. So we're actually going to be popping these lavender out and putting them exactly where they are around this rack that a little angel sits on when I get it out. This is a zone 5 through 9. If I didn't say that, we are a zone 6 here marginally, so I think that they'll do okay. And they are just so beautiful. I think they're, even if with just the foliage, they're going to provide a nice little pop in this area. And I think we can agree will look much better than the dead lavender. There's a little bit of signs of life, like here and there, but in general they look terrible and we're just going to start over. Sometimes it's really easier to start over than worrying about what it might look like. So other things we're going to do today, I mentioned the dahlias. I'm not exactly sure where those are going to go. I'm going to have to find a spot, but I have some snapdragons that we're actually going to tuck into the foxglove bed that we planted some bluebells in. We've got that. I've got some hollyhock seedlings, some delphinium seedlings, some cosmos, just kind of a bit of a hodgepodge of things that I just want to get in the ground. So I'm going to go assemble all my bits and bops I need, get some shovels to get the lavender out, get my auger to dig a hole, my biotone, and I'll set you guys up, kind of get started, and then walk you through where everything ends up. I've added a sun hat for shade, as you can see. I've also got the lavender planted and added some annuals that I grew from seed around it. So I thought I would show you this space and what it kind of looks like. Okay, so doesn't that platinum lavender look so pretty there? You don't notice the variegation this far away. It's only when you get to probably about here that you can really notice the stripiness of the leaves. But I think what it does when you're looking at it from a distance, it just makes it glow and pop. And I love it so much. So in this area, I did add some of the extra seedlings I had from seed. And I wanted to point out up here in this like stretch, these are all pink and blue Chinese forget-me-nots. They'll get maybe, the growth itself will get, I don't know, 8 to 10 inches tall, but then there'll be like clouds of flowers if they bloom. It's a little late for me to be planting. And they look a tiny bit sad, but I figured nothing ventured, nothing gained. We get them in the ground. In the back, the next layer back, and it kind of matches some of the foliage of the lavender. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 carnations that are looking kind of sad, but again, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And then towards the back, I put some cosmos. Now, that might mean that we won't see this hosta a ton, but I think that's okay. It's just getting established. We probably won't do something like this in this area again, but it'll peek out from like angles like this. Right now it's in deep shade, so it might be harder to see, but I think that's great. Oh, the other thing that I planted to make my way back, you can just see it in there. I planted my big brother Dahlia there, and that is a dinner plate dahlia, so it'll kind of pop up and fill the space and be a nice bright color, similar to this actually, when this peony is done. And you can see we did stake it, but we had quite some rain. And I gotta do some deadheading. Now that made a nice dent in my seedlings to plant. I still have a lot of snapdragons to get done, as well as some delphiniums that I want to get planted, some hollyhock, and some sea holly, all 3 of which are actually perennials. So I have to be particular about where I put those. So I'm going to do some walking around to see where I think the best place for that is. It's a hard thing to plant because they do need a place that they can have some support, so we like to put them up against something. And I'm not quite sure where that will be, but I'm gonna go do some looking and see what I can find. Okay, so we are now down at the bottom of the yard, and we are gonna be adding some snapdragons to our foxglove bed, and some of the foxglove that we planted last year have just started blooming, so I thought I would give you a quick peek at what it looks like. Also, you might hear some construction-y noises. My dad is doing some stuff to the dock. But right now, look at these beauteous foxglove. Now, there's obviously patches that were better than others. We got a nice like pink one. There's some purpley colored ones and some light yellow. Here's another look at like a purpley color, and you can kind of see the bluebells have died back, which is to be expected. We've got some other really pretty foxglove over here, and then the ones that are more evenly spaced that have no flowers are the ones we just planted, which won't be flowering until next year. So it's looking pretty good in general. We have planted snapdragons in here in the past, but I think I only see one right there that has self-seeded. So I don't have a ton, in all honesty. I've got, let's see, I've got about 15. So some quick Googling has revealed that zinnias are actually supposedly deer resistant. We'll put them to the test here. I have about 7 Veneris giant zinnias, just in a color mix, in addition to the 15 snapdragons I have. So what I'm going to do is plant an inner circle of zinnias around the tree, spacing them out, and then also add the snapdragons like in an outer circle. So from our view, it'll be snapdragons backed by zinnias, and then there's the foxglove interspersed, which I think could be kind of pretty. So I'll get you guys set up and show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, all done. The longest part of that was forgetting things up at the house and having to run up to go get them. So I got them all planted. Let me kind of just point out where they ended up in the circle. So the circle itself wasn't like, this is the side that I think in the last video where we showed this bed, I said things aren't growing super well here. We're not sure why, but we've added more foxglove, and I did add some zinnias and snapdragons here. So we've got zinnia, 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 and then there's foxglove, or I'm sorry, snapdragon, 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 snapdragons. One more just to kind of fill this space in. Snapdragon, zinnia. I didn't do anything in this lovely little chunk. Isn't that just so pretty? I mean, come on, guys. Look at this. Can you just see what this is going to look like when the whole thing is just full of foxglove? It's going to be beautiful. But anyway, for this year, we have, let's see, I pointed out that zinnia. We've got snapdragon, 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 zinnia, snapdragon, zinnia, snapdragon, zinnia. So I spaced the zinnias out fairly evenly around this side because that's what we see from the house. So there should be like a ring that we see. And then I added some snapdragons there as well, which will kind of take over after these foxglove have faded. But for now, they're just such a pretty show. Okay, we have moved up a bit. We are now in a lilac tree peony bed. And there's a lot of weeds right here. Some, well, I say they're weeds. A lot of them are actually daisies that seeded they were gonna move. But we've got this whole bed to fill up. Now I am thinking what we might end up doing here is actually putting in like a cattle panel. So I'm gonna plant the hollyhock and delphinium here. And then we'll come back in later and add a cattle panel for some support that they can blow against. Because they're pretty babies right now. We'll see if they even survive before we do that. And then I'm also going to plant some cosmos and dahlias here. So what I'll do, I think I'm gonna plant some cosmos, most of the cosmos, in and amongst the peonies, to be honest. So there'll be a nice swoop that'll take over in color once these guys fade. They're looking pretty nice right now. And then I will plant in a line right here. It'll probably go like hollyhock, hollyhock, delphinium, delphinium. Because I think I have two of each, to be honest. Then I'm going to do the dahlias along the edge. I've got 5 tubers and 2 mysteries that are all going to go in here. So I don't know how big they are, but I think that's a good way to get started. And that is a good chunk once these things are done of the stuff I wanted to get done today. I do have some Orangium sea holly that I still want to plant. My dad and I decided where they're going and it's not quite ready yet, so I might quick put them in some pots so that they can have a little more root space and continue to grow, and then they will be added at a later date. But for now, let me get you guys set up and then we will go to town with planting. Now I didn't do any weeding around here because I'm gonna let my dad decide what he wants to keep in this area. But let me show you where what we planted ended up. And Dad, if you're watching, do not weed these. Okay, so we have one mystery dahlia here. Then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sunset dahlia mix. This is some sunset dahlia tubers that look like they might grow, plus 2 mystery tubers. So I just put them all in the same hole. We'll see if anything comes out. And then we've got another mystery dahlia there. Then I have 1 delphinium here and 1 delphinium there. I think they're gonna die, if I'm being honest. When I went to take them out, I hardly got any roots. They weren't very established. So I wouldn't be shocked if they kind of dried up. The hollyhocks, 1, 2 look pretty good. So we'll see if they do anything. And then the cosmos are looking great. So there's a group of 5 here. A group of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Yeah, 5. And then in here, we did another group of 5. And I just mixed up all the colors like I did at home too. So it'll be like a mix of whites and pinks and doubles and some really darker pinks, and it'll be really pretty. So I'm excited to see those kind of go. There'll be a nice pop of color in this area after the peonies fade, because the rest of the stuff in here, well, there's daisies. The daisies are a nice summer interest, but everything else is actually very spring heavy. So now I only need to put the deer fence back up. I think I've said in multiple videos that we have a lot of deer pressure here. We are right next to the Manistee National Forest, between the Manistee National Forest and a water source. So we have a lot of deer traffic, and almost all of our garden beds are actually encased in fencing, as you can see. You don't actually, like, after a while they kind of fade from view. But I did unhook this. It's actually not even really hooked up properly. But I guess it would be good for me to hook it back up. My dad is actually in the process of weeding and mulching his bed, which is why it's not, like properly done. Oh, and this needs to be reset. Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to my dad about this. It's actually missing a post. There's supposed to be a post here. There's actually one other project I was hoping to get to today, but it's looking like it's probably not gonna happen. Maybe it'll be this trip. Oh, wait, look. Okay, they're kind of awful because they poop everywhere, but do you see? We have 2 pairs of nesting Canadian geese with goslings that are on our neighbor's property. There's a whole flock over there, but the babies are so fuzzy and cute. So far, all of them have survived this season, which is kind of exciting. So I will end this video here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it was a bit of a hodgepodge, but it's always kind of rewarding to get some seedlings that are the last of the seedlings in the ground. We're going to be doing a garden tour in the next week or 2. And we'll do some throughout the summer too, so you'll definitely see these things that we planted as the season progresses. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you spending today with me, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.